G'day viewers, welcome to another video. Before we get started, I'd like to ask, could you please hit the like button? It helps me with the YouTube algorithm and will help them decide who to share it to. It just progresses my channel, helps me out. And also, if you haven't subscribed, could you please do that, because 75% of my viewers aren't subscribed. It would mean a lot to me. It'd help me grow my channel. Thank you. In today's video, I'm going to be processing these purple IC chips. I don't know what the yield rate is on these, so I'm hoping when I weigh them that it comes up to an easy amount to figure out, because I'm no good at maths. Maybe if there's someone out there that's good at maths, they can help me work out what the yield rate is. Now, just like with the CPUs, I'm a bit puzzled because most of these, the ones I've ever seen, have gold legs, but there are some that seem like they're not gold, and the tips of them are, but they start off gold and the tips are silver in colour, not silver as in silver metal. If I can get this to sit still. See, they're almost all gold. It really looks like some of them have solder on them, just like with the CPUs. However, I don't know if these have got solder on them or not. So, just to be sure, I'm going to soak these in hydrochloric acid first before I start processing them. So I'll go and do that now, and I'll dry them off. It won't be hard in the heat that's out there, and then get a weight, and we'll work out based on the weight. There's no point counting how many. Some are skinny, some are fat, some are long, some are short. So we'll go by the weight and see if we can work out a yield. Okay, so I've got the CPU, the IC chips. They have been soaking, and same with the CPUs. They've been sitting there till today. 235 grams, which is a quarter of a kilo. So that's not quite a quarter, but it's very, very close to a quarter. So that should be easy enough to work out a yield, hopefully. So for the same reason as the CPUs, I don't want to use glass. You really try not to put ceramic in glass. So I've also got another one of these buckets, and I'll go and put some dilute nitric acid in there and start dissolving the base metals. Okay guys, I've just noticed while I'm editing the film, and the same things happen with the CPUs, is that when I'm moving this GoPro on my head mount, sometimes I swipe on the screen without realizing and switch it to time-lapse. I apologize for that. It's probably too late for this video, but in the future I'll be more aware of it. So if you see any screen frames like zooming past, that's why. Like the one that's coming up, I'm basically just getting all the ICs after they've been in a nitric bath, and I break them in the middle so the acid can get to all the insides of the chip, ready to go into aqua regia. I really apologise guys, this is annoying me so much. I didn't know that this was happening. In this next clip I am showing that the reaction has stopped, and I'm putting the AR through a funnel with cotton balls to filter it. Okay, so just like you would have seen me do with the CPUs, the ceramics have all been filtered, dried, what do you call it, rinsed out, and I filtered it into the solution here. It looks dark, but as you can see by these droplets, they're actually gold. It's just in so much concentration that it's gone dark. When it was dripping through the filter, you can see it, the gold drops coming down. And I've got some SMB here, so I'm going to put some SMB in there. And like I said in the other video with the CPUs, the reason this is dark is because my SMB was so clumped up. I put it through my crusher, and there was some remnants of dust in there from the CPUs, the ceramic dust, not ceramic, the epoxy. So it's just discoloured it a bit, but it's not going to hurt it. It still works. So I'll put this in. You see it's gone to a nice brown colour, which is what I want. Give it a chance to settle, and then I'll do a stannous test to make sure that I've got all the gold out of solution. If I don't, I'll put some more SMB in there. So now it's just a waiting game. Okay, so just like with the IC chips, the CPUs, the IC chips is dropped. There's a nice layer at the bottom. You can just make it out, but it is dark. So same thing, I'm going to pour off most of the solution and then top it up with some water, and that'll dilute it a lot, and I'll be able to see. There's not much room in my flask there, so that'll do. I might have to get some more hot water. There's not much left in the kettle. I'll go and boil the kettle and I'll put some more in off camera, but that should clear up quite nicely, and I should be able to see the gold and remove most of the liquid so I can do the wash process. So just like with the ICs, this is cleared up nicely, which is what I wanted. You can see it's nice and see-through. So now I know I can pour this off without losing any gold. We're going to need another flask. Okay, I've got a dirty beaker over here I can use. Doesn't really matter what I use, as long as you pour it off into anything, and better to save it. That's perfect. See how you can get all the solution out without pouring the gold off. And as I was saying in the IC video, there's several ways of doing clean. Everyone's got their way, no right or wrong way, but I do what works for me. So 3 hot water washes, hydrochloric acid boil, and then at least 3 more hot water washes to remove the hydrochloric acid, especially towards the end where I like to do a nitric boil as well, and I make sure that any copper and so on is out of the solution. You get a really pure gold. One. Settling nice and quick, which is good. A little bit slower than the other one, but still going pretty quick. There's a nice layer of gold at the bottom there. one more. Now all this liquid that I'm pouring off here, it goes into my temporary stock pot, which is a stock pot that I use for gold washes. And now I'll put some hydrochloric acid in there and put it on the boil. Alright, so it's been boiling now in HCl for an hour. I'm going to turn the heat off, let it cool down, and carry on from there. Alrighty, so time to pour off the HCl. And what I got here, a brand new beaker to re-dissolve the gold, clean it up. It's important to use a clean beaker when you're going to refine some gold, so that's why I've got the new beakers out. So I need to go and get the kettle so I can put some hot water in there and do the hot water washes, and then I'm going to put the gold into one of these new beakers and re-dissolve it, refine the gold. So I'll be back when I get some hot water. Okay. Water wash number 1. Make sure I give it a good rinse. Slowly starting to settle. Seems this is going to take longer than before. So what I'll do is I'll do it off camera. I'll do 3 or 4 water washes, and then I'll put the gold into one of these new beakers, and then I'll be back to refine it. Alright, so as you can see, the gold's in the beaker. Looks like a nice thick paste. Looks nice. So start with some hydrochloric acid. Doesn't need to be any specific amount, about that much will do. You don't need to go by measurements. And looking for my pipette, there it is. Now I need some nitric acid to fill up my little bottle. Should have had this prepared ahead of time. Alright, so now I use incremental additions. These two are no good, so I'm going to get rid of those. I'll be back. Alright, so like I said, we need incremental additions. So got the hydrochloric acid in there, and what's this, about 2 mil, 1 mil. So I just want to add a tiny bit to start with. There's not even half of what I had in the pipette. Leave that there for a second. And I'd rather add a little bit and then have to add more later on than to add too much and then need to denox. I can't tell you how annoying it is. I see videos of people putting a big handful of urea or sulfonic acid in to denox it because they've put so much nitric in. It's a waste. Many of you would know how hard it is to get or how expensive it is, so why waste it? So I'll put this on the heat, see how much dissolves, and if I need to put some more in or not. Doesn't need to be boiling, just warm will do. As you can see, it still needs a little bit more nitric, so take the lid off, carefully put some in because it's hot. And see if that's enough. The gold had stopped dissolving, so I rehydrated it with a tiny bit more hydrochloric acid, and it seems to have taken off again. Now there's no more reaction because I need to put more nitric in, so I'm going to put a bit more in now. Let's see what that does. Okay, so the gold's all gone into solution. I've just turned the hot plate off. I'm going to let this cool down. I'll drop the gold for the last time and then we'll be able to melt it up. Well, I've filtered this a couple of times. It's nice and clear now. Nobody likes to watch filtering, it's boring. So I did that off camera. And I've got some SMB dissolved in water. Let's see what we get. Nice colour change. Textbook colour change, beautiful. That's going to be nice. So now just let that sit. See what we get. Okay, so as you can see, some of it's suspended and it's just sitting. It's not moving. So I'm going to pour it into this bigger beaker. A bit easier to clean because I can swirl it around and give it a good old wash. Break up a lot of that gas, get the gas out of the chunks. Once I can get rid of the solution and start putting nice clean water in there, it'd be a lot better. And it's starting to settle now. All the pieces are swirling around, but they're all starting to settle. I don't know how well you guys can see that. Definitely be a lot easier to clean in this bigger beaker. It's all grouped up in the corner here. Just a few fine pieces that are floating around, but they're all starting to settle. There we go. Beautiful. Okay, hot water wash 1. Some very fine gold in there. It's already starting to settle, see? So much better with clean water. Just wait for it to stop swirling around and it'll all drop. Almost there. Beautiful, look at that. nicely clumped together. Awesome. Hot water wash 2. It's already settled. Just a few bits that are swirling around. Almost there. It's a nice pile in the corner there. Beautiful. And hot water wash 3. See how quick it settles. Beautiful. So much better. Awesome. So I'll put it back into the speaker now. Alright, now put some hydrochloric acid in there. The hot water boil, the acid, hydrochloric acid boil. Okay, I'll put that on heat for an hour or two and we'll come back to it. Okay, so I had that boiling for a couple of hours. It's looking pretty good. Doesn't look like there's a lot there, but it didn't have much to start with. I'll pour the HCl off and give it some washes. Just like with the CPUs, I want to give it a really good rinse to make sure I get rid of all the HCl. This is settling fast. It's a lot faster than before. One, 2, well, it's already settled. I can't believe how fast it settles. Alright, 3, and given that there's not much there, I definitely reckon that HCl's all rinsed off by now, but we'll do a couple more just to be sure. No, that's not a bad little blob. It's a pretty good amount, I suppose. You never can tell until it's on the scales. Sometimes the powder looks like there's not much and it weighs up quite nice, and other times it looks like a lot and it doesn't really weigh up much. It's just hard to tell. But that was in a nice little clump, so you know, it might weigh up quite good. No, it's already settled. It's amazing. It's nice and pure, nice and clean. And give it one more. That is a decent amount. I thought it didn't look like much, but it's all sticking together in a nice big blob. Give one good rinse, one last good rinse. I definitely reckon all the HCl's gone by now. It's been a long time since I had some gold that clumps together like that. It's just staying one big blob moving around the beaker. That's pretty good. Alright, so we'll put some distilled water in there. And a couple of shots of nitric. Back on the heat for an hour or so. Alright, so it's been boiling for an hour and I turned it off about 10 minutes ago to let it cool, and look at that beautiful colour. That's how gold should look. So the nitric has cleaned that up really nicely. It's all clumping together. Now what I'm going to do is, I've got a beaker here which I was using for SMB earlier. I'm going to pour this nitric solution into there to save it, because it's still got some use and I don't like to waste acids. Plus my melt dish has got just the tiniest little bit of copper, and just in case it picks up on this when I melt it, I'm going to put it in dilute sulfuric acid to get rid of the borax, and then I'll drop it in nitric to clean up any copper that may be on the surface. And the nitric acid won't affect the gold, as you can tell, but it'll eat up any copper that could be on the surface. But I don't even know if it will go on there, but I just want to use my acids. I like to use my acids over and over and over. I don't like wasting them. So I'm going to do some hot water rinses to get rid of the nitric, clean this gold up nicely. Look at that, it's just sitting straight on the bottom, it's not even in suspension. That's awesome. That's how gold should be. Just staying in a nice little bunch. Beautiful. Just clumped up nicely in the corner there. I'll give it one more. It should be more than enough. I'll move this over here. And now I'll put it into this melt dish. and clean pipette. Now I prefer to melt gold when it's wet. I don't like using gold that's in a filter. I think I may have already said it before, but I always find the little bits of paper fly out of the melt dish, and I always wonder, was there gold on that bit of paper? So I would prefer to just use it wet. It dries nicely with the flame and it gets a nice little crisp on it, crusty surface, and then doesn't fly out. That's perfect. I'll be able to melt that up nicely. So we'll go and melt that up now and see how much we get. Alright, it's time to melt this gold up. Let's do a gentle flame first. Dry the top of it, get a nice crust on it. Working around the edges. Getting a bit closer each time. Get a little bit of borax. It's melting quite nicely. Rolling it around so it catches up with all the rest of the gold in the melt dish. There's always little bits of gold stuck to the dish. I try and get it all. Alright. Hasn't quite frozen over yet. Certainly looks nice. It's turned out really shiny, ultra shiny. I don't know if you can see that. Geez, that's glistening. It looks really nice. It's not nice and round because I moved it before it finished freezing over, but that's okay because I've got to take pieces off it yet to take my cut, and then I'll melt it back into a nice button for him once I've taken my bit. So we'll see what we've got to start with. 2.62. Not bad at all. Alright, so hope you guys liked this video, and if you did, please like and subscribe. If you got anything out of this video and you feel like you'd like to support me for less than the cost of a cup of coffee, you can become a channel member. And you also go into other drawers. Whenever I have a drawer, I have one for members and one for the general subscribers. And anyway, I will see you on the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.